Have you had questions about the Bible? Good, then this podcast is for you. Join us on our Lebanese Christian podcast that embraces all your questions about faith and the Bible. Join us as we dive deep into the Bible to find answers to build faith. Join us as we talk God. This is Heavenly Talks. Hello everyone and welcome back to our podcast. Last episode took a little bit of time to upload because we had some technical issues, but now you can stream it on YouTube, on our YouTube page until we get it fixed soon. But for now, if you remember that last time we discussed about how we can read the Bible, the history part, and now we're back with part 2. But before, I want to tell you, if you haven't checked out our Instagram page and TikTok page yet, please do, because our team has been putting a lot of effort on it and it's very beautiful. Also, you can find a lot of tips about reading the Bible and meditating on it. And to welcome back our teacher, I would like to say hello again, and so glad to have you back on our show.
Hello. I'm really glad to be back, honestly. It's such an honor to be here for 2 consecutive episodes. I bet the audience is really dying to know the second part of the topic that we started last time, where we talked about the 4 categories of the Bible. And I always like to start my topics in a specific way. Can you guess how?
I would say question, because last time you told me I will start with a question.
Exactly. So I will start by asking you, what do you think is prophecy?
I would say something like predicting the future, like those we watch on New Year's Eve and so on.
Close enough. Actually, let us start with the basics. First of all, we have to know and we have to keep in mind that God always works in the same way. First of all, he shows his plan to his servants, the prophets, and then he proceeds to fulfill it. You can read this in Amos chapter 3, verse 7. So God never works without showing his plan beforehand to his servants, the prophets. But do you think God speaks, for example, English or Arabic or any language? How does he communicate with his prophets, with us?
Definitely not. Must be something more special. I mean, he's God.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you read in Hosea chapter 12, verse 10, it says that God speaks to the prophets in parables, which are also known as metaphors. So he never speaks in a plain language. He always speaks in parables. Also, if you read, for example, in Isaiah chapter 1, if you read in Isaiah chapter 1, the first few verses, it said that Isaiah recorded this book by seeing visions. So God communicates with his prophets to show his plans in the way of parables and visions. But why do you think God is speaking in parables? Why does he want you to know his plan?
It's confusing, honestly, because, God Almighty, I mean, he's God, yeah, I told you he's God. Why does he want me, a servant, actually a sinner, to know his plan? What will I do with it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. And the answer is written in the Bible itself. But I will give you an example in order to make it clear for you. Let's say now you go into your room and you find on your desk a cup of water. Will you be able to know who put it on this desk if no one told you that he will put it there?
I mean, it's kind of scary because I live alone. So finding suddenly a cup of water on the desk would be very surprising.
Yeah, exactly. But what if I tell you beforehand that I am going to put at 5 p.m. a cup of water on your desk? You will be able to know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a ghost, though.
Exactly. So the same thing for God. If you read in John 14:29, it says that God shows his plan to his servants, the prophets. Which means to us also, because it's written in the Bible, for us to know that God is working, for us to be able to distinguish that this is the work of God, for us to be able to believe when the work of God happens. But concerning the question of the parables, that why God speaks in parables, maybe I will tell you later on, not today.
Oh no, keeping us on our toes with suspense. Anyhow, can you at least give us an example of prophecy and how we can know it's God that is fulfilling?
Yes, of course. So we all know Jesus, right?
Yeah, sure.
And did you know that Jesus came according to all of the Old Testament prophecies?
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Actually, you already know where was Jesus born?
Bethlehem.
Yes, exactly. But Virgin Mary, when she became pregnant, uh, she was with Joseph in Nazareth in Galilee. But how was Jesus born in Bethlehem if they were in Nazareth in Galilee? What happened? Do you know?
I have no idea actually. I only know that when Mary was pregnant and was about to give birth, they like traveled a long distance to arrive to Bethlehem to give birth.
Yeah, exactly. So back then, the Roman ruler issued a decree that there has to be a census. A census has to be done in the entire Roman Empire. So whenever a census has to be done for the population, each person has to go back to their own town in order to register themselves. This is why Joseph had to come back to his hometown, which was Bethlehem in Judea, in order to register himself alongside with his family. So they traveled around 150 kilometers from Nazareth to Bethlehem. And Mary was pregnant, as we already said. And you know, back then there wasn't cars, there wasn't trains as there is today. So, what might happen to a pregnant woman in her ninth month if she walks or rides on a donkey this very long way? What might happen to her?
Oh my God. I think coming from medical background, I would say there's two options. Either the woman has a miscarriage or she has an early delivery.
Exactly, exactly. These are the two options that might happen. But why did Virgin Mary not deliver Jesus, for example, in Samaria or in Antipatris or in Jericho? Why only when they arrived to Bethlehem? If you read the verse, it says, when they arrived to Bethlehem, she gave birth to Jesus. Also, why didn't a miscarriage happen along the way? What do you think?
Mm, I don't know, but well, I remember my grandma used to tell me that their bodies in back in history were so strong, and she used to tell me that nowadays you people are so weak, but in old times our bodies were much more stronger, and they used to like climb mountains and do stuff we cannot do without getting tired today.
Actually, not really. It's not really the answer because nothing happens by mistake. Nothing happens only because it happened. God has a plan, God has a way that has to happen. This is why Jesus was born in Bethlehem because there was a prophecy in the Old Testament that said that a ruler will come out of Bethlehem, and you can read it in Micah chapter 5, verse 2. So it came according to the prophecy.
Wow. So is this the only thing about the life of Jesus? Because you said all the life of Jesus, Jesus came according to the prophecies. So is it this one thing, or can we find another more things, Jesus fulfilled during his life?
There are multiple prophecies in the Old Testament. I will give you a few examples. For example, when Jesus started preaching in Galilee, this was also a prophecy written in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 2. The story about Jesus riding on a donkey and her coal that we all celebrate on Palm Sunday, right? It was prophesied in Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. And when the Jews crucified Jesus, you already know that when he was on the cross, he said that he was thirsty, so they gave him vinegar for his thirst. And this was also a prophecy written in Psalm chapter 69, verse 21. There are much more prophecies. I won't go into their details. We can go through their details on later episodes because if I tell you about them all, we will stay until tomorrow, but you can get the overall idea.
Really have nothing to say, honestly, but I will certainly check out the verses and the fulfillment of them. And I don't know about you guys, but I am shook. And hopefully you'll also be able to check the verses out. Um, but how did all of these things slip under my nose? Truly, we don't know a thing about God's plan.
Yeah, I'm afraid to tell you you're right, because actually this new covenant that Jesus established with his blood when he died on that cross has a lot of mysteries. Especially, for example, in the book of Revelation. You can see it talks about the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns, it talks about 7 stars, and small disclaimer, these are also prophecies that will get fulfilled at the time of the second coming. But only when you truly dive in this Bible and understand these parables, you can understand the plan of God.
I think this brought us back to the very first question that he didn't answer. Why does God speak in parables? Why can't he just tell us plainly about his plans? What is this beast with 7 heads and how many horns?
10 horns.
Also 7 stars. What are all of these things? Can't just God tell us and no, it will get fulfilled like this, like just plainly?
Well, I will ask you one thing. Do you usually tell your secrets to anyone, to everyone?
No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
definitely not. So God is hiding his secrets also. These secrets of the kingdom of heaven in parables, as you can read it in Matthew 13, verses 10 to 11, when the disciples of Jesus asked him, "Why do you speak to us in parables?" So, God also wants to hide these secrets from whom? From Satan. In order for Satan not to hinder the work of God, in order for Satan not to be able to put obstacles for this fulfillment of the work of God. Imagine in the Old Testament, God spoke plainly. Jesus will come like this, like that, like this, like that. Satan would come in the way in order to stop him from fulfilling this prophecy, stop him from sending us his one and only Son. But do you really understand all of these prophecies, all of these parables?
No.
Yeah. But do we all want to go to heaven or not?
Of course. No one wants to go to hell, I mean.
Exactly. But if you don't understand these parables and these prophecies, can we truly find the kingdom of heaven?
It's a very hard thing to say, but not really, because you said there are the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, so it's like a map, you know? If I don't know this map or where it leads me, then I cannot go to heaven.
Mm,
Oh my
exactly.
god.
Yeah. So it might be a bit shocking for you or for the listeners, but this is a chance that God gave us also to be able to understand these parables, to be able to understand His words. But we must keep in mind that without these words, without understanding these parables, I cannot go to heaven. I cannot find the kingdom of heaven. Maybe you can have another episode to discuss more about these parables. What do you think?
Yes, yes, for sure. I mean, if you guys want, we can definitely do another episode.
But before we finish, I just want to tell you one last idea that always, 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 whenever a prophecy that is written in parables, as we said, gets fulfilled, only when it gets fulfilled, we can understand about the parables. For example, in the Old Testament, Jesus was parabolized as a stone, as he was parabolized in many ways. You can check them in the Old Testament. But unless it gets fulfilled, we cannot understand what these parables mean. So imagine now if all of the prophecies that you still don't know, you or anyone that is listening to us, they are currently being fulfilled. Imagine these prophecies of the second coming are currently being fulfilled and you're not aware of that. Like, you cannot be saved since you're not even aware of that.
Wow, that's very scary, I think. And this marks the end of our episode. We will leave you on a cliffhanger, but just to get things hecka interesting. If you would like to know more about the prophecies Jesus established for the second coming or about the parables, we'd be happy to do another episode and go into details. And as much as I enjoyed this episode, I think it was a heavy topic to tackle, but very much needed for everyone. So I hope all of you listened well and understood well, and we're always here to answer all your questions. Actually, our teachers are here, and I will definitely bombard our teacher with questions now. So, see you in the next one.
as we come to the end of a very insightful episode of Ebony Talks. Thank you for tuning in and lending us an ear. If you liked the episode, don't forget to subscribe on all our social media accounts, and your feedback is greatly appreciated for improving our podcast. Hit us with any questions you have or any topic suggestion. Until next time.